Hello again. We got some more questions off the internet, and if you too would like to submit a question for us to answer, you can send it to us at totl@abyssheadphones.com. Maybe we'll answer it on a future episode. I never know which camera's recording. It's probably that one.
All of them?
Whichever one he makes.
Yeah, I'm always looking at the wrong
Whichever
one.
one he points at us.
So the question reads, Hey Abyss team, my question is, would it be possible or even ideal to have a headphone with 4 different drivers in each ear cup? Dynamic, balanced armature, plain, or electrostatic? Love the videos. I watch them all.
Wow, he doesn't want much. He wants all 4 drivers and simultaneously.
Yeah,
the same
that's
thing.
a bit.
Let's run high voltage into this thing. Let's get a dynamic. We need a hell of an amp for this thing.
Well, that is the first problem.
Dual input. We need a dynamic amp.
Well, to start,
Yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
of
sure.
course. You could theoretically do
I
that.
don't know where we're going to put them all. But
Not a lot of people have endeavored to do multi-driver designs like that in a conventional headphone because it's impractical. Offers a lot of issues and limitations. The biggest trouble is, and we talked about this before in other videos, but each driver has its own benefits, right? Each
and
driver
downfalls.
does something better than the rest, but usually there's something that they don't do as good as something else. So it's kind of like a combination of effects. When you combine multiple drivers, you run into the situation where you kind of also stack up these faults. Now, you also happen to stack up the benefits, but to get it all to work seamlessly is very, very difficult. That's the biggest issue, right? Like you see multi-driver speakers even in 2-channel audio. And they even have issues with 2 drivers that are more or less the same, just different sizes or dimensions made
I
for
think I could think of like
frequencies.
maybe something that you can equate to it. That maybe if you think about like, it's kind of like saying, well, you know, why don't you put 4 different instruments together and try to make them play together?
Yeah.
And make them sound like one.
Well, you can,
Yeah.
but it's hard to do.
But they won't sound like
You
one.
need,
They'll
like-
sound like 4 different instruments. Yeah.
Well, you need you need people that have played with each other like for a long time. You know, so they can really.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like even say like one guitar versus like 4 different guitars.
Oh,
let's say,
different
from
guitar.
different, completely different manufacturers.
They will never
different
sound
strings.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, so now you're trying to make them. Now, sure, they could play together, but you know, and you think about one guitar going, someone playing it. Now another guitar playing right over that one. Now you got 2 of them going, and 3, and you'll always hear. And in the end, you'll probably hear one sound, but it'll be the combination of 4 different guitars. And the resonant character and all that are going to be completely different. So they're good. In some respects, they'll be fighting each other, right? I mean, they have to be. They're
Right.
never going to be totally in sync with each other, no matter what.
I think for everybody that's been in the art of the loudspeaker or headphone design for a while, they'll probably agree for the most part that one driver is the best you could do because it eliminates the issues. The trouble is, it's not always possible to make one driver do what you need.
Full range.
Right, like in
Yeah.
2-channel systems and your large speakers, one driver doing the full range
Yeah, they
in
wish.
a large room, it's
That's-
tough.
that's
People
the
do it,
dream.
but it's tough, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really exist.
But in headphones, you could get away with it. For the most part, you could do a really, really good job with one driver, and it eliminates those issues of combining the multiple drivers and having imbalances between them because of their physical alignment differences. You have potential for phase imbalances because these drivers physically can't be in the exact same position. And so you need to somehow align the waves so that they all arrive at the same time over a large width, over a significant band of frequencies. And that's very difficult to do. In something like an IEM, it's a little bit easier because of the physics of it. Things are physically closer. But when you're talking about like a full-size over-ear headphone, you're trying to get world-class sound, the energy you're developing more or less dictates that the drivers need to be a certain size. It can't be itty-bitty, teeny-tiny drivers.
Well, you listen to a few IMs here and there. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing I think you notice
Like,
with
yeah,
them.
when they go to like many drivers,
Yeah.
it's like the most impressive thing is like, wow, it doesn't sound like there's 15 drivers.
Yeah,
And that's
right.
like the best thing you can say. It's
Yeah,
like,
tell me about it.
because some do it very well, but other things,
Yeah.
you know, you could tell there's multiple drivers in there.
Yeah, to me, everyone I've heard, I've always heard the individual drivers.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate them. You could just pick it out.
And as the drivers get bigger, that just gets worse. It gets harder to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue. It's very, very difficult to combine these coherently.
It's the same in a 2-channel world too with
Yeah.
speakers.
Well, that's why a lot of people like just a standard 2-way, you know, minimize drivers. I mean,
Yeah.
you usually sacrifice bass or something, but
Or mid-range.
or yeah,
Yeah,
one-
if you're running a tweeter
Yeah.
as low as it can go and a woofer as high as it can go type thing, and they're crossing over. And speaking of crossing over, that's the other thing to consider too is, you know, especially when you have multiple drivers, not necessarily all full range playing together, like this I think was alluding to, But when you have multiple drivers, some doing highs and lows, that you have to cross them over. You can't send base to a tweeter; it would pop it instantly. You can't send low frequency information to a tweeter. There's just too much power there. So
And getting the crossover perfect with multiple drivers is very difficult.
Yeah, in an IEM situation, it's it's hard in a speaker, and you've got as much room as you need, basically.
You can make it huge.
Yeah, in a big cabinet, type thing. But in an IEM, you've got very little space to play with crossover, and so it's difficult to optimize that real properly with.
And on top of that, all the different drivers have different driving characteristics, especially something like an electrostatic alongside the other ones. It requires totally different drive than the other stuff does.
Yeah.
So you would almost need two amplifiers in one. That'd be a
It would need its
real
own custom
challenge.
amp.
You would need a custom amp for it.
Yeah.
One particular set of wires to drive the electrostatic element, and then another set for the other elements, and a special amplifier made specifically for it. Not to say it's not possible, but the practicality is very limited for benefits that don't seem to be there.
Not to mention the cost involved with optimizing every one of those individual driver styles to be at our level. Unless it's going to be a $60,000 headphone system.
Well, yeah.
It'd be crazy, at that point. And not only that, it wouldn't make any sense. The reality of it is
It'll be bulky, complicated, expensive to make.
It sounds like a marketing gimmick, really. In the end, it isn't going to work. So why bother?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could make it work, but in the process of doing that, it would take a
Would
lot
it be
of work.
better than an optimized singular driver?
Yeah,
Probably not.
Yeah, not in our book. So plainer it is for us.
Yeah, I think that wrapped it up for us.
Yeah.
If anyone out there has any further questions that we could answer in an episode, you can send it to us, totl@abyssheadphones.com. Until then, take care, guys.